After years of being the family scapegoat, 26-year-old Rachel Mitchell faces the ultimate humiliation when her parents publicly kick her out during a family barbecue, claiming she's an ungrateful failure. But what they don't know is that Rachel has been hiding a massive secret that will completely destroy their perfect family facade. When the truth finally comes out, the tables turn in the most devastating way possible, leaving her parents to face the consequences of their years of emotional abuse and favoritism. My name is Rachel Mitchell, and I'm about to tell you how one 4th of July barbecue destroyed my family forever. The smell of charcoal and lighter fluid filled the backyard of our suburban Chicago home as I carried another tray of hamburger patties to my father. The sun was blazing down on about 30 of our closest family friends and relatives, everyone laughing and enjoying what was supposed to be a perfect summer celebration. I should have known something was wrong when my mother, Patricia, kept giving me those sharp looks across the yard, the kind that used to make me shrink as a child. "Rachel, hurry up with those burgers," Dad snapped as I approached the grill. "We've got people waiting." I bit my tongue and handed him the tray, noticing how he smiled warmly at my younger brother, Jason, who was lounging in a pool chair with a beer, contributing absolutely nothing to the party preparations. At 24, Jason was the golden child who could do no wrong, while I, at 26, was apparently the family disappointment despite having a master's degree and working 60-hour weeks. "Thanks, sweetheart," Dad said loudly to Jason, who had done nothing but crack open another beer. The contrast wasn't lost on me, and from the smirks I caught from some of the guests, it wasn't lost on them either. I retreated to the kitchen, where my mother was arranging fruit on a platter with aggressive precision. Her perfectly styled blonde hair didn't have a strand out of place despite the heat, and her designer sundress probably cost more than my monthly rent. "Mom, do you need help with anything else?" I asked, genuinely trying to be helpful. She looked up at me with that familiar expression of barely contained irritation. "What I need is for you to stop embarrassing this family." My heart sank. "What did I do now?" Mrs. Henderson asked about your job situation again. "Do you know how humiliating it is to explain that my eldest daughter is still figuring things out at your age?" She slammed down the knife she'd been using to cut strawberries. I stared at her in disbelief. "Mom, I'm a senior marketing analyst at Morrison & Associates. I make decent money. I'm not figuring things out." "Decent money," she scoffed. "Your cousin Jennifer just bought her second house, and she's younger than you. When are you going to get serious about your life?" The familiar knot formed in my stomach. Nothing I ever did was enough for Patricia Mitchell. I could have cured cancer, and she would have asked why I hadn't done it sooner. I took a deep breath and walked back outside, hoping the fresh air would calm my nerves. That's when I overheard the conversation that changed everything. My Aunt Linda was talking to my mother near the patio table, their voices low but not quiet enough. "Patricia, you really need to stop being so hard on Rachel. She seems like she's doing fine." My mother's laugh was bitter. "Fine? Linda, you don't see what we see. She's been a disappointment since high school. No direction, no ambition. We keep hoping she'll grow up and make something of herself, but honestly, I'm losing hope." I froze behind the sliding glass door, my hand trembling on the handle. "At least Jason has potential," Mom continued. "He's got that entrepreneurial spirit. Rachel just exists, takes up space and expects us to be proud of her mediocre achievements." Mediocre achievements. The words hit me like a physical blow. Aunt Linda looked uncomfortable. "Patricia, that's a harsh thing to say about your own daughter." "Sometimes the truth is harsh," Mom replied, adjusting her sunglasses. "We've given her every opportunity, and this is what we get. At some point, you have to cut your losses. Cut your losses." Like I was a bad investment. I stumbled backward, my vision blurring with tears. 26 years of trying to earn their love, their respect, their basic acknowledgement, and this is how they really felt about me. I was a loss to be cut. But here's the thing about being pushed to your breaking point. Sometimes it reveals strengths you didn't know you had. I wiped my eyes and straightened my shoulders. If they wanted to see what a disappointment looked like, I was about to give them a masterclass. I walked back outside with purpose, my heart pounding, but my resolve steel hard. The party was in full swing. Uncle Bob was telling his annual fishing story, kids were splashing in the pool, and everything looked perfectly normal. "Hey, everyone!" I called out loud enough to get attention. "Can I have a minute?" The conversations gradually died down as faces turned toward me. Mom shot me a warning look from across the yard, probably sensing trouble. "I just wanted to thank everyone for coming to celebrate with our family today," I began, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. It means so much to be surrounded by people who care about us. A few people smiled and nodded. Jason raised his beer in acknowledgement, completely oblivious to what was coming. You know, family is supposed to be your safe place, right? The people who believe in you, support you, love you unconditionally. I paused, looking directly at my parents. But what happens when your family sees you as their biggest disappointment? The yard had gone completely quiet now. Even the kids in the pool had stopped splashing. Mom's face had gone pale. Rachel, what are you doing? I'm being honest, Mom. Something this family has never been great at. I turned to address our guests. See, I just overheard my mother telling my aunt that I'm a disappointment, that I have no direction, no ambition, and that I'm basically a loss she needs to cut. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Aunt Linda looked mortified, and Dad had abandoned the grill entirely. Rachel, stop this right now, Dad commanded in his stern voice. No, Dad, I'm 26 years old and I'm done being quiet. My voice was getting stronger. I'm done pretending that the way you treat me is normal or acceptable. And you know what? Let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a situation where your own family made you feel worthless? Where nothing you did was ever enough? Drop a comment and tell me about it, because what I'm about to reveal next will shock you. If you're enjoying this story and want to see how this family drama unfolds, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. Because what my parents didn't know was that I had been keeping a secret that would completely destroy their perfect family image. And I was about to drop that bomb in front of everyone they cared about impressing. But first, I had something else to say that would change everything. The silence in the backyard was deafening. You could have heard a pin drop as 30 pairs of eyes stared at me, waiting to see what would happen next. My mother's face had gone from pale to bright red, and my father looked like he was about to explode. Rachel Elizabeth Mitchell, you stop this nonsense right now and apologize to our guests. Dad's voice boomed across the yard, using my full name like I was still 10 years old. But something had shifted inside me. Maybe it was hearing my mother call me a loss to be cut. Or maybe it was 26 years of accumulated hurt finally reaching its breaking point. Either way, I wasn't backing down. Apologize for what, Dad? For telling the truth? I looked around at our guests, some of whom were shifting uncomfortably in their lawn chairs. For letting everyone know that behind closed doors, you and Mom have spent years telling me I'm not good enough, not successful enough, not worthy of your respect. That's enough! Mom shrieked, marching toward me with fury in her eyes. You're being dramatic and embarrassing. This is exactly the kind of behavior we're talking about. I laughed, and it wasn't a pleasant sound. Embarrassing? Mom, you want to see embarrassing? Let me tell you what's really embarrassing. I pulled out my phone, and I could see the panic starting to creep into both my parents' faces. They had no idea what I was capable of, what I'd been hiding from them for months. See, while you've been telling everyone I'm a disappointment with no direction, I've actually been quite busy. My voice was calm now. Deadly calm. Remember last Christmas when you asked me why I couldn't be more like Cousin Jennifer with her successful career? Well, funny thing about that. I swiped through my phone and pulled up a screenshot. 3 months ago, Morrison & Associates promoted me to Senior Vice President of Digital Strategy. My salary? $250,000 a year. The gasps were audible this time. Uncle Bob's fishing story was definitely forgotten now. Mom's mouth fell open. That's impossible. You never told us about any promotion. Because you never asked. Mom, you were too busy being disappointed in my mediocre achievements to actually ask about my life. I turned to address the crowd again. But wait, there's more. I could see Jason sitting up straighter in his pool chair, his beer forgotten. Remember how Mom always talks about Jason's entrepreneurial spirit? How he's got so much potential? I smiled, but it didn't reach my eyes. Well, Jason, why don't you tell everyone about your latest business venture? My brother's face went white. Rachel, no, please, share with everyone. Tell them about the cryptocurrency scheme you've been running. The one where you've been scamming elderly investors out of their retirement savings. The backyard erupted in shocked murmurs. Jason jumped to his feet, knocking over his beer. That's a lie, he shouted, but his voice cracked. Is it? I held up my phone again. Because I have screenshots of your Discord conversations, your fake investor documents, and oh, this is my favorite, the FBI investigation file. Dead silence. Dad's face had gone from red to gray. What FBI investigation? I looked directly at him. The one that's been going on for 6 months. See, one of Jason's victims was Mrs. Chen from down the street. Remember her, Mom? Sweet old lady whose husband died last year? Jason convinced her to invest her entire life savings, $40,000, in his fake cryptocurrency fund. Mom sank into a nearby chair like her legs had given out. When she realized she'd been scammed, she called the FBI. And guess what? They've been building a case against him ever since. I scrolled through my phone. Wire fraud, securities fraud, elder abuse. Jason's looking at up to 20 years in federal prison. You're lying, Jason said desperately, but sweat was beading on his forehead. You don't know anything. I know everything, Jason, see. While you thought I was just your disappointing older sister, I was actually the one who helped Mrs. Chen contact the FBI. I'm the one who's been gathering evidence against you for months. The party guests were starting to back away from Jason like he had a contagious disease. Some were already pulling out their phones, probably texting other people about the drama unfolding. But here's the really beautiful part, I continued, my voice getting stronger. Mom, Dad, you want to know why I never told you about my promotion? Why I let you keep thinking I was unsuccessful? They stared at me in horror, finally understanding that their perfect family barbecue had become their worst nightmare. Because I was gathering evidence. My new position gave me access to financial analysis software, background check systems, everything I needed to help the FBI build an airtight case against your precious golden child. I walked closer to my parents, who looked like they'd seen a ghost. Every family dinner where you praised Jason's business sense while putting me down, I was documenting his crimes. Every time you asked me why I couldn't be more ambitious like my brother, I was literally working with federal agents to put him in prison. Mom started crying, mascara running down her cheeks. Rachel, honey, we can work this out. We're family. Now we're family? I laughed again. 15 minutes ago, I was a disappointment you needed to cut loose. Now that you realize your golden boy is going to prison and I'm actually successful, suddenly I'm family again? Dad tried a different approach. Sweetheart, you're upset. Let's go inside and talk about this privately. No, Dad. I'm done hiding. I'm done protecting your reputation. I looked around at our guests, many of whom were recording with their phones now. Everyone needs to know what kind of people you really are. I pulled up another screenshot on my phone. This is a text message Mom sent to Aunt Linda last week. Want me to read it out loud? Please don't, Mom whispered. But I was past caring about their feelings. Linda, I don't know what to do about Rachel. She's 26 and still hasn't figured out her life. Sometimes I wonder if we failed as parents with her. Jason has so much more drive and ambition. The crowd was completely silent, hanging on every word. Drive and ambition to commit federal crimes, I added. Real quality parenting there, Mom. Tell me something. Have you ever had that moment where you finally stood up to people who made you feel small? That moment where you realized you had more power than they ever gave you credit for? I want to hear your stories in the comments. And if you're invested in seeing how this family meltdown continues, hit that subscribe button, because Chapter 3 is going to blow your mind. The FBI is about to make an appearance, and let's just say this barbecue is about to become a crime scene. Because what happened next would destroy my family's reputation forever. And honestly, they had it coming. Just as the words left my mouth, I heard the sound that would haunt my parents' nightmares for years to come. Car doors slamming in the driveway, followed by heavy footsteps on the front walkway. Rachel Mitchell? A deep voice called from the side gate. I turned to see 3 people in dark suits walking into our backyard, badges visible on their belts. The lead agent, a woman in her 40s with sharp eyes and an all-business expression, scanned the crowd until her gaze landed on me. I'm Agent Sarah Rodriguez, FBI. We spoke on the phone yesterday. The backyard erupted in chaos. Some guests started moving toward the exits. Others pulled out their phones to record, and Uncle Bob actually choked on his beer. But the most satisfying reactions came from my family. Jason tried to bolt toward the back fence, but Agent Rodriguez's partner, a tall man with graying temples, stepped into his path. Jason Mitchell? We have a warrant for your arrest. This isn't happening, Mom whispered, clutching Dad's arm. This can't be happening at our party, but it was happening, and it was beautiful. Jason Mitchell, you're under arrest for wire fraud, securities fraud, and elder abuse, Agent Rodriguez announced loud enough for the entire party to hear. You have the right to remain silent." As they handcuffed my brother in front of 30 of our closest family friends, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years: pure satisfaction. Not happiness exactly, but the deep, bone-deep relief that comes from finally seeing justice served. "Rachel!" Mom turned on me with fury and desperation. "How could you do this to your own brother? To your family?" "I didn't do this to Jason, Mom. Jason did this to himself when he decided to steal from elderly people." I kept my voice calm, professional. "I just made sure he faced consequences for his actions." Dad stepped forward, his face a mixture of rage and disbelief. "You've destroyed this family. You've destroyed our reputation. All our friends, our neighbors, they're all going to know." "Good," I said simply. "They should know. They should know that you raised a criminal and spent years protecting him while tearing down the daughter who was actually trying to do the right thing." Agent Rodriguez finished reading. Jason his rights and turned to me. "Ms. Mitchell, we'll need you to come down to the station tomorrow to finalize your witness statement." "Of course, Agent Rodriguez. I'll be there first thing in the morning." As they led Jason away, he looked back at me with pure hatred. "I'll never forgive you for this, Rachel. Never." "I don't need your forgiveness, Jason. I need you to stop hurting innocent people." The backyard was clearing out rapidly now. Nobody wanted to stay for the rest of this family implosion, and honestly, I didn't blame them. Within 10 minutes, it was just me and my parents standing among the abandoned lawn chairs and half-eaten hamburgers. The silence stretched between us, heavy with 26 years of dysfunction and disappointment. Finally, Mom spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. "What happens now?" I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw something I'd never noticed before. Fear. For the first time in my life, Patricia Mitchell was afraid of me, afraid of what I was capable of. Now you get to live with the consequences of your choices," I said, "just like I've had to live with them my whole life." Dad tried one last time to assert his authority. "You're still our daughter, Rachel. This family dysfunction, we can work through this." I laughed, and it was the most genuine laugh I'd had all day. "Dad, I stopped being your daughter the moment you decided I wasn't worth your love and respect. You made that choice, not me." I walked over to the patio table and picked up my purse. "I'm going home now. To my apartment that I pay for with my 6-figure salary from the job you never bothered to ask about." "Rachel, please," Mom started, tears streaming down her face. "We can fix this. We can go to therapy, We can't fix 26 years of emotional abuse with therapy, Mom. Some things are broken beyond repair." I paused at the gate and turned back to face them one last time. "You know what the saddest part is? I spent my entire life trying to earn your love. I thought if I just achieved enough, succeeded enough, proved myself enough, you'd finally see me as worthy." The words came easier now, like a dam had finally burst. "But the truth is, you never wanted to see me succeed. You needed me to be the family failure so you could feel better about Jason's lack of direction. You needed someone to put down so you could build him up." Dad's shoulders sagged. "That's not... We never meant..." "You meant every word, Dad. Every dismissive comment. Every comparison to my cousins. Every time you made me feel like I wasn't enough. You meant all of it." I took a deep breath of the warm July air. "But here's what you didn't count on. I didn't need your approval to become successful. I didn't need your love to become strong. And I didn't need your respect to know my own worth." Mom wiped her eyes, smearing her makeup further. "So that's it? You're just going to walk away from your family?" "Mom, you walked away from me years ago. You just never bothered to tell me." As I reached my car, I could hear them arguing behind me, their voices carrying across the yard. Blame, accusations, desperate attempts to figure out how their perfect son had turned out to be a criminal and their disappointing daughter had turned out to be their salvation. I drove away from that house for the last time, and I didn't look back. 6 months later, I was sitting in my new office. I'd been promoted again after the FBI case brought attention to my analytical skills, when I got a call from Agent Rodriguez. "Rachel, I wanted to let you know that Jason pleaded guilty to all charges. He's been sentenced to 8 years in federal prison." 8 years. It was less than the maximum, but enough to ensure he'd think twice before scamming elderly people again. "Thank you for letting me know, Agent Rodriguez. What about the victims? Will they get their money back?" Most of it, yes. The asset forfeiture allowed us to recover about 70% of the stolen funds. After I hung up, I sat quietly for a moment, thinking about Mrs. Chen and the other victims who would at least get some of their life savings back. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. It was Mom. "Rachel, your father is in the hospital. Heart attack. Please come." I stared at the message for a long time, feeling nothing. No panic, no rush of concern, no automatic urge to drop everything and run to their aid. I typed back, "I hope he recovers. Please don't contact me again." Then I blocked the number. Here's what I want you to understand. Sometimes, the people who hurt you most will face consequences that have nothing to do with you. My parents' reputation in their social circle was destroyed. Their golden child was in prison. Their perfect family image was shattered. But that wasn't my revenge. That was just life finally catching up with their choices. My revenge was living well. It was succeeding beyond their wildest expectations. It was finding peace and strength they never thought I possessed. And you know what? Have you ever had to make the choice between family loyalty and doing what's right? Have you ever had to walk away from people you loved because they were toxic? Tell me about it in the comments. I read every single one. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever felt invisible or unvalued by the people who should love you most, hit that subscribe button and share this video. Because sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself is refuse to accept less than you deserve. My name is Rachel Mitchell, and I learned that sometimes the family that hurts you the most is the one you need to love from the greatest distance. The truth will always find a way to surface. And when it does, make sure you're ready to stand in your power and own your worth. Because at the end of the day, the best revenge isn't destruction. It's becoming everything they said you'd never be, despite their efforts to tear you down.